So this is a post climbing, cycling, gardening, anything where you've been using the whole of the body really, a bit of stretch out. So we are going to begin seated. So again, we're going to start in any comfortable seated position. So again, we can sit cross-legged, we can sit on the knees, we can sit with the legs out front. And we, again, as always, we just take a couple of moments to arrive. So again, we can just close the eyes. Just shift our awareness a little bit inwards. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then again, we can just slowly just bring our awareness to the here and now. So we're just going to begin with a little exploration of the upper body here. So we're going to start with our kind of eagle arms. So we're just going to give our arms a kind of good stretch out. So we inhale. And then we exhale, we're going to cross our left arm over and right arm under. We're just going to kind of catch hold of the shoulders here. So we're going to stretch out a little bit through the back of the neck and the back of the shoulders. So again, maybe bringing the fingertips and kind of wrapping them around the edge of the shoulders. Maybe even pull your shoulder blades away. We're just going to slightly tuck the chin in a little bit here. So we stretch through the back of the neck. And then we're going to lift the head. And then we're going to release the arms. We're going to come into our eagle arms here. So again, in this position, whatever feels comfortable. So you might just have the hands kind of not quite touching. You might have the back of the palms pressing towards each other. You might have the palms pressing towards each other. You might just have first finger and thumb. You can use a band here, whichever feels the most accessible for you. And then again, all we're going to do is we're going to slightly lift our elbows up. They're roughly in line with the shoulders. And then we're going to tug the arms forwards and a little bit further up. And we're just going to kind of tuck our chin in here a little bit. Just take a couple of breaths here. We're just stretching out through the back of the neck. And then we're just going to lift the head. We're now just going to slightly tuck the arms a little bit more over towards our right side. As we do that, we might slightly change that stretch around that left shoulder. And then we're going to bring those arms back to center. And then again, now we're just going to kind of lift the arms up a little bit and maybe create a little bit of a back bend here. And again, it might feel comfortable to drop the head back. It might just feel more comfortable to kind of keep the chin a little bit tucked in. And then we're just going to drop the head. And then now we're going to work a little bit here into the forearms. So again, we're just going to slowly kind of lower as much as feels comfortable, those forearms. Just try to keep the hands kind of together or kind of touching. And then we're just going to release, bring those arms back. Those arms a bit of a shake out. And we're going to keep working here a little bit onto that left side. So now we're going to stretch more through the front of the shoulders and the front of the chest. So we're going to start to bring that left arm up, really reaching it up behind. And then again, we're just going to come into that kind of cow head arms here. So again, we're just going to bring our left hand together somewhere between the shoulder blades. We can bring our right arm underneath, maybe just hold that onto the forearm, maybe hold onto your elbow. And all I tend to do here is just kind of squeeze that kind of left shoulder blade onto the back. And I just find it really kind of opens up a little bit through the front of the chest here. And then again, we can play around a little bit here. So again, this might just be good for you. It can be a very intense stretch. You can, if you want to, kind of drop your kind of right ear towards your right shoulder. So you can stretch a little bit more through that kind of top of left shoulder, left side of the neck. If you do that, you can play around a little bit again with the position of the head. So you might just kind of slightly tuck the chin in. Again, you might bring the head back to center and just drop that head back a little. And then come back to center. And then we're going to stretch out that arm in the opposite way. So again, we're going to reach that arm up towards the ceiling. We're going to drop it down between the shoulder blades here. And then again, we're going to bring that opposite arm over if we want to. Maybe hold on to the forearm, maybe help inch those fingertips again a little bit further down the back. And then again in this position, if you start to create that little bit of back bend like I do here, just kind of relaxing the lower back a little bit. And again, squeezing that left shoulder, that kind of left shoulder blade onto the back. And again, if you also want to chuck in a little bit of a side stretch here, very good if you've been kind of hunched over, you can slightly just tilt a little bit towards the right side. And then again, we can come back to center. We can release the arms, give those arms a bit of a shake out. And then we're going to do all that on the opposite side. So again, we're going to stretch those arms out. We're going to give ourselves that big hug. So again, we're going to take the right arm over this time, left arm under. Give ourselves that hug, maybe catching hold of the shoulders, maybe just holding onto the shoulder blades. And just slightly tucking the chin in here, stretching through the back of the neck. And then again, we can lift the head. We can bring those arms up into eagle arms again. Maybe the palms come towards each other. Maybe the hands touch. We can again just lift the elbows in line with the shoulders, slightly tuck the arms forwards a little bit further up. Again, tucking the chin in here. And then again, we can lift the head. We can slightly, again, just tuck those arms a little bit more to the left side. See how that slightly changes, that stretch around that right shoulder. And then again, we can bring the arms back to center. Finally, this time again, we can just kind of lift the arms up a little bit. And again, maybe drop the head back, maybe keep the chin tucked in. I actually quite like the chin tucked in, so I really find it kind of stretches into those neck muscles and the rhomboid muscles, and those muscles between the shoulder blades. As I lift the arms up, I can keep the chin tucked. And then we can relax the arms. We can give, oh, actually, no, come back to center. We can come back into eagle arms, drop the elbows back down. This time, work a little bit into the forearms again. How does it feel just to kind of lower those arms a little bit and lift? And then bring those arms back to center. And then again, we can just release the arms, give those arms a bit of a shake out. And now all we're going to do again is work a little bit more through the front of the chest. So again, we're going to get our right arm and we're going to turn that right palm up behind us. So again, we're really stretching through the front of the right shoulder, right side of the chest here. Again, we're going to bring that kind of right hand to somewhere between the shoulder blades or maybe more the middle of the back. We can bring our opposite arm underneath, maybe hold onto our forearm, maybe hold a little bit onto our elbows. And again, just kind of taking a couple of moments here, squeezing that right shoulder blade onto the back. And then you can just stay here if this stretch feels good. Or again, you can take it into that little bit more of a neck stretch by kind of just dropping the kind of the left ear towards the left shoulder. And then we can bring the head back to center. We can again just release that arm a little bit. And again, this time we can bring that arm up. We can drop it down between the shoulder blades. Again, we can bring our opposite arm over, maybe hold onto the elbow. And again, just kind of inch those fingertips a little bit further down the back. Again, if we start to create that little back bend, again, just relaxing the lower back a little bit. And then again, we can stay here in this position, or again, we can just have a little tilt towards that left side. And then we'll come back to center. And we can give those arms a bit of a shake out. So now we're going to stretch a little bit more into the lower part of the body. So we're going to start a little bit with glutes, outer hip muscles, lower back a little bit. So we're going to go into deer pose. Again, you might want to give your legs a little bit of a stretch out, a little bit of a wiggle before you come into this. It's one of my favourite poses, as most of you probably know. So again, I will start on my left side, my more flexible side. So I've got my left leg in front. I have my right leg behind, 90-90 positions. Again, you can alter the position of the legs, further in, further away. You can pad out your back knee. Again, you can do this with the opposite leg straight, which makes it quite a bit more of a hamstring stretch. We are going to do that a little bit later on in the sequence. But again, if it's more accessible for you, or if it just feels better to have your leg a little bit out straight, again, bring something underneath the knee just to stop that really strong hamstring stretch to begin with. And then again, all we're going to do here is we're going to start by just kind of dropping the hands down towards the floor. Onto the floor. I just have my fingertips pressing down. And again, if it feels okay, we can bring our left arm up, same leg as arms, so the leg that's out in front. And then we're just going to reach that left arm up and over. We're going to walk that right hand a little bit further out towards the right side. And then again, just drop the head here. So we get a really good side stretch. Again, try and keep that left arm kind of rolling back and down. And then we're going to come back to center. And then we're going to play around a little bit here with the deer pose. So to begin with, we're going to fold over that front left knee. So again, we just fold to whatever position feels comfortable. So again, we might just bring the belly a little bit closer down. We might come onto the hands. We might come down onto the elbows. We might bring our head onto a block. Again, we want to really soften into this position, just allow all those glute muscles to relax. So again, just breathing into it. And again, not coming to that full intensity. Again, this is like a post-exercise stretch out sequence. Again, we don't want to kind of make the body go into that kind of flight or fight position. We want to be in that kind of restore. So again, just coming to a point that feels comfortable. We feel a little bit of a pull, but it's not too intense. And again, you might just stay here with the head lifted on the hands, on the forearms. If it feels okay for you, you might even, or if it feels good, you might even stretch your arms a little bit further out. And then we're going to slowly lift up a little bit. And we're now going to kind of turn so we're between the legs. And again, in this position, we can come onto the elbows, we can come onto the hands, we can have forehead down on the floor, forehead down on the block. We can keep the arms as they are. We can stretch our arms further forward. And then we can slowly back up. And then the last little one, we're going to turn a little bit more towards that back knee. Again, you might just find this is a very little tilt. Again, I find this is quite strong. And again, just soften here for a few breaths. And then we can slowly come back up. Yeah, we're going to swap sides in a moment, but just before we do that, we're just going to bring our right leg out. And we're just going to do a little bit of gentle kind of hip flossing, a little bit of rotation here. So again, we'll just do a little bit of kind of internal, external rotation here, a little bit of movement into the hip, and trying to make it as fluid as we can. And then we're going to swap sides. So we're going to bring that right leg in front this time, left leg behind. Again, the legs are in that 90-90 position. Again, if you feel a little bit more lopsided, you might bring a blanket or something underneath one of your bum cheeks, make you a little bit more level. Again, if it feels really uncomfortable for that front knee, you can pad out the knee, or again, you can have the leg stretched out. If you do that, bring a little bit of something underneath that hamstring. So again, you're not kind of totally taking into this really strong hamstring stretch to begin with. And again, just bringing those fingertips down onto the floor. Again, we're going to kind of bring our left fingertips onto the floor. We're going to bring our right arm up this time. We're going to exhale, stretch that right arm up and over. Maybe walk the left hand a little bit further out towards the left side. And again, if it starts to come forward, as mine always do, keep it rolling back a little bit more. And then again, we can come back to center. And then again, as we start to fold, again, we're going to fold more towards that front knee. So again, we can just come down onto the hands, we can come onto the elbows, we can bring forehead down onto a block, onto the floor. We can keep arms as they are, we can stretch the arms out. So I'm generally much tighter on my right side, so I tend to actually do the poses slightly differently on this side. Often in yoga is that obsession with symmetry. So then you might find you need to do a slightly different position on this side. You might even find you don't want to do this side, just doing it on the opposite side, which is fair enough. So again, for this one, I'm not going to stretch the arms out. It just feels a little bit too intense. It feels more comfortable just to kind of hang out here with the elbows on the floor and the head relaxed. We can again slightly turn so we're more between the legs this time. Again, same thing, be up on the elbows, be on the hands, on the block. Sweet. And then again, if it feels okay, maybe just slightly turning a little bit towards that left leg or that back leg. And again, it might just be a very slight tilt of the pelvis towards that spine. And then we can slowly come back up. And this time we can stretch out that left leg and just do that little bit of hip flossing here. So again, just a little bit of gentle internal, external rotation. And then we're going to bring our legs out in front and we're just going to give them a little bit more of a flutter here. So we're just going to practice or work a little bit now into our feet and our ankles. So again, you might want to have a block here, or you might, if you've got a half block or a blanket, or you might want to roll up the edge of your mat. And again, just something to sit on so you can slightly kind of perch or just slightly tilt your pelvis forward. So again, to begin with, just a little bit of kind of ankle and kind of foot mobility here. So a few little circles. If you're into class the last couple of weeks, I've been doing lots of foot stuff. And then again, how's it feel to kind of turn soles of the feet to face each other? How's it feel to turn the top of the feet to face each other? How's it feel to roll the legs out? Again, that Charlie Chaplin feet, that external rotation. And how does it feel to internally rotate the legs? And then finally, a little bit of pointing, relaxing. Okay, very good for any of you runners, climbers, cyclists, anyone who forces their feet into little shoes for long periods of time. And again, a little bit of proprioception with the feet. So again, how does it feel to kind of take your big toe away from you? Can you pull your big toe towards you? Can you spread your toes? Can you take your big toes in opposite directions? Can you take them in opposite directions from the rest of the toes? Can you again spread the toes and see if you can move your little toe? And what about your second toe? And then again, give those legs a little bit of a shake out. So now we're going to get our left foot and we're going to bring our left foot up. And we're going to start with a little bit, again, of footwork here. So to begin with, we're going to get our fingers and we're going to spread them between our toes. And then we're just going to give that foot a little bit, maybe a circle, a little bit of a shake out. Stretch the foot a little bit, kind of pull the foot a little bit, maybe hold on to the ankle gently. Again, rotate the ankle, flexion then. And again, you can do this by kind of keeping your kind of lower leg fixed. So you go a little bit more just into the ankle joint and just into the sole of the foot. Circle a little. In the opposite direction. Have a little shake. And again, you can pull those toes. And again, if it feels good here, you can even have a little bit of a massage if you want to have a little play around, especially if you've got any foot things going on, you've done a lot on your feet. And then we're now going to come into, again, another little forward fold. So this is that one where we're going to step our left leg over. So we're going to come into that, what they call kind of shoelace pose in the yin yoga. So this is where we have our left leg stepped over. And again, just depending on what feels good here for your hips. So you might be a tight shoelace. You might have your left knee stacked on top of your right. You might be more like a figure of four position. It's a kind of loose shoelace. Again, this is just depending on how your hips are built. And then all we're going to do here is we're going to slightly fold forwards. So again, we're just going to inhale, and then as we exhale, we just try and bring our belly down towards the thighs. And then we can just kind of relax here. So we can just walk the hands to wherever. And again, we can just drop the head in a little bit. And we're just going to start with that kind of right leg, kind of nice and relaxed. Again, we're getting a little bit of a little bit of hamstring stretch. Probably got quite a lot of calf stretch on. You might feel it a little bit in your sciatic nerve. Then you might want to do a little bit of footwork here. You might prefer to just stay still. And then we can slowly come back up. And then the final one. Again, a little bit more work just around that left kind of outer hip glute area. We can just get our kind of hands and we just kind of squeeze that kind of left thigh in towards that. And again, you can work a little bit here into kind of hip mobility as well. So if you want to, you can maybe just kind of grab hold of the sole of the foot. Just kind of have that thigh again reached into or kind of pressing in towards the belly. And then you can just play around a little bit here with stretching. And kind of lengthening. And release it. And again, I also like to sometimes play around a little bit here, just kind of hip mobility. So again, I kind of just gently kind of see how far I can bring my kind of knee back. Again, very gently. And then again, we can just release. We've got legs a little bit of a flutter. Now we can do that all on the opposite side, just slightly swing round. So again, we're going to come into that little shoelace pose. So again, we're going to get our right leg this time. And we're going to step that right leg over the left. So again, we kind of got our, again, right knee might be stacked on top of the left knee. Again, tight shoelace. You might be more in a figure of four position, loose shoelace. Again, we can bring those fingertips down to the sides, be in line with the hips. Again, the back is nice and straight. We slowly fold forwards. And then we just come to that point where we're just going to relax here for a few breaths. And then we're going to slowly lift up. And again, we're just going to kind of bring that leg. Oh, actually, we didn't do the foot stuff. Sorry, guys, a little bit not with it today. So, again, before we come into the little, actually, we'll do the little hip stuff and then we'll play around a little bit with the foot. So, again, just kind of squeezing that right knee towards the chest. And then again, we can bring kind of the hands around the sole of the feet. We can again have a little play around with stretching and releasing the leg a little, getting a little bit more into the hamstrings. And then again, you can work around a little bit with kind of hip mobility. So again, kind of straighten it, pulling it back towards the armpit. And then we can slowly drop that kind of, just so you can kind of comfortably hold your kind of the sole of the foot here. And again, you can just spread your fingertips through, or thread your fingertips through your toes. And then again, you can just start with maybe a little bit of kind of ankle cranks, kind of rotating the ankle, going in both directions. Do a little bit of gentle shaking, which I was quite like. Again, kind of maybe holding on to the lower leg, maybe just kind of pulling the foot a little. And then again, playing around a little bit with kind of ankle cranks, but this time keeping the kind of the lower leg kind of quite rigid. And again, kind of a little bit kind of flexion there, which is whatever feels good. And then again, you can pull those toes a little. Again, you can even give that foot a little bit of a massage. And then again, we'll bring those legs out, those legs a little bit more up. And then the last little one we're going to do here is the legs. We'll shift again our focus a little bit more into the upper body. So we're going to play around a little bit with a figure of four, but a kind of seated figure of four position. So I will slightly change my posture again. So what we're going to do here is we're going to slightly sit back. We're going to bring our left foot up and just bring it up onto our right knee, so like we would do in figure of four position. And you might slightly lean back here. And again, if you have been kind of, if you're tempted to hunch forward, it's really nice here just to open up a little bit more through the chest. You also get a little bit of forearm stretch. It's very good if you've been climbing, cycling into the wrist. And then all we're going to do here is just like a little bit of kind of, it's almost like a kind of seated twist or seated rolling twist. Again, you can put the legs in any position, so you can just have a very slight bend there, a little bit further. Keep those shoulders pulled in towards each other, so you have that little stretch through the front of the chest. And then we're just going to release. And then again, we can swap sides. So again, we can bring the right foot up on to that leg. Maybe wiggle the legs a little bit closer. Maybe you have the legs a little bit further stretched out. Maybe you have the leg right stretched out. And again, just that little bit of gentle rotation here into the hips. And again, stretching those legs out. Ooh, just taking a moment here, stretch a little bit through the upper body, squeezing those shoulders in towards each other, lengthening through the front. And then we're going to spin round there. So we're going to come up onto all fours to begin with. So again, a little bit of work here into our wrist joints. So to begin with, we're going to start with our hands kind of stacked underneath the shoulders. Now we're just going to start with a little and forward and back. So again, just stretch a little bit out through your wrists. And then a little side to side. Keeping your shoulders nice and wide for these ones. Or again, maybe even a little circle of figure of eights. And then coming back to centre, and then this time turning your palms or your hands to face towards the outside edges of the mat. Then again, the same thing here. Side to side. and back. And then can we turn them to face inwards towards each other? We can same little side to side. And then again back to center. And then final one, and again, go gently with this one. So again, you might want to do one side at one hand at a time. So you might want to turn your left hand just to face towards your knees. So again, you stretch out a little bit with the forearm, then go a little bit forwards and back here, or not, depending on how intense this feels. And then you might bring that back center. You might do the opposite side. Again, I find this one, again, right side, much trickier. Very tight in my wrist and my forearm, I find on this side. And then back. And then finally, if it feels okay, you can bring kind of both hands to face in. So again, there's two different ways of doing this. So again, I tend to find that way just doesn't work for me, whereas I kind of tend to turn my hands out and then in towards my knees. And then again, have a little, but again, if it feels really intense, just don't go there, alter the position to whatever feels good for you. Okay, keep the toes open. Oh, it's so good after climb this. And then we just go into release. So we're now going to come into our little child stretch. So again, any child position that feels good. So again, we can have knees together, knees wide out to the side. We can just stretch those arms out for a moment, just drop the forehead onto the floor. We can even bring those hands behind us a little bit, maybe even clasp behind, stretch the arms up behind, maybe you can even have a little side to side there, that little stretching or open through the front of the chest. You can play around bringing the arms out to the side, pressing the palms into the floor, or again just bringing the back of the hands onto the floor. A little bit through the shoulders there. And then we're just going to bring our hands back towards the front of the mat. And we're going to slowly here come up onto all fours. So now we're going to again come into our little shoulder reset ones here. So again, this is where we're just going to kind of drop down on to the elbows. But we're going to turn our forearms to face up towards the ceiling. And then again, all we're going to do here is we're going to start to stretch out our fingers a little. So we're going to try and bring our little fingernail towards the floor. We're going to stretch out the fingers and we're going to try and bring our thumbnail towards the floor. And then we're going to drop the head and then we're going to try and create a hunchback. So we're going to press up between the shoulder blades and then just slightly pull back with the bottom of the hips. And then we're just going to release. And now we're going to chuck it into that little puppy pose. So we're just going to bring our forearms maybe a little bit wider out to the side and just bring our forehead here down onto the floor. Or maybe even take our forearm or our hands a little bit further towards the top of the mat. And then we're just going to slowly pull back. Let's come back into any little child resting position here for a couple of breaths. And then the final couple we're going to do here is we're just going to work a little bit again into our feet. So we're going to just start by coming into a little toe stretch here. And again, if this is really intense, you can sometimes do it by lifting the knees a little bit, bringing onto a blanket, rolling up the top of the mat. So again, you less pressure. So again, you're still stretching through the sole of the foot, but it's not a real strong stretch. And also, depends on how your ankles are built. So there might be a little bit kind of compression of bone hitting bone here. It might not be really accessible for some people. So sometimes you'll be having your knees a little bit lifted. And then we're going to stretch through the top of the foot now. So again, this time we untuck the toes and we sit the bum back down onto the heels. So again, if you're like me and you're kind of heels splay out a little bit here, just work at kind of pulling your heels in towards each other. And I just find that really kind of intensifies that stretch a little bit across the top of the feet. And then we're just going to relax. And now we're just going to come down onto our backs to finish off. So we're going to finish off with a couple of little twists here. So again, we're just going to start by coming into our little hip twist. Again, we're just going to bring our feet and knees about hip distance. We're going to either stretch the arms out shoulder level, or you can turn your palms to face the floor, or you can come into cactus arms. So again, whichever one feels really good for you. And then again, we can just start with our little kind of window widening of the legs. And then again, the next time we drop our legs over towards that right side there, or again, you can go to the opposite side. I'm going to go to the right side again, stretching out my left to begin with. Then again, we can just relax here for a few breaths. Again, we can leave the legs as they are. You can hook your bottom foot over your top knee. I always find that's a little bit too intense for my knees. And again, we can just allow the back of the hands, back of the shoulders, back of the sternum to press down into the floor. And then we can slowly bring those legs back up to centre. We come into that universal twist now. So again, we can straighten out that right leg and keep that left foot on the floor, left knee bent. We can budge our hips a couple of inches over towards that left side. We can bring our right hand over towards left thigh, left knee, wherever we can comfortably reach. We can draw that leg over. So again, we're rolling over a little bit more towards the right side. So again, feel that stretch maybe in the side of the left side of the body, maybe the left glute, left hip. And then again, we can play around here with the position of the arms. Again, we might keep arm at shoulder level, we might keep it cactus arm. We might slide it a little bit higher, we might turn the head to the right. And we can slowly come back onto our backs. We can again come into that little hip twist here. So again, we can walk our feet, knees to about hip distance. We can have arms stretched out, palms turned towards the floor, cactus arms or hands up arms. We can again start with that little bit of kind of internal, external rotation here into those thighs and into those hips, and we're stretching through the thighs. And then again, the next time we drop our legs over towards that opposite side. Again, just relax here for a few breaths. Becoming aware again, you can hook your bottom foot over your top knee. You can leave the legs as they are. You can then just come away the back of the hands, back of the shoulders, sternum, just pressing down into the floor. Then we can bring those legs back to centre. And again, this time we can straighten that left leg and keep that right foot on the floor, right knee bent. We can budge our hips a couple of inches over towards the right side. Bring our left hand over towards that right knee. Draw that leg over. Again, we play around with the position of the leg. Play around with the position of the arm. We find that sweet little spot that really works for us here. And then again, we can slowly come back onto our backs. And then we're just going to take a few moments here to relax. Again, we can stretch those legs out. We can have the soles of the feet together, knees flopped out to the side. We can have the feet on the floor, the inside edges of the knees touching. We can just begin by bringing our hands onto the belly, just having our first, second fingers just kind of meeting each other across the belly. And then again, all we're going to do is just inhale, breathe into the hands as we exhale. So again, as we inhale, those kind of fingertips move away from each other. The belly expands, and as we exhale, fingertips moving towards each other. You can even do a little bit of a diaphragm release here. So you're just kind of tracing up your kind of bottom rib. Where your kind of bottom rib comes up towards the sternum, just a couple of inches down from there, just kind of see if you can kind of bring your fingertips a little bit underneath the ribs. You're kind of hooking underneath the rib. Again, as you inhale here, and as you exhale, slightly pull up. Only if this feels okay. It can feel pretty weird. And then maybe just trace your fingers down a little bit where your ribs start to curl around towards the back of the body. Again, there, we just pull up as we exhale. And then now we just come into any comfortable position here. We can just breathe from the top of the head right down into the fingers, the toes. We can just focus into any little areas, tension, tightness, discomfort. As we breathe out, just allow those areas just to soften, relax, release the other. And again, we can just breathe from the top of the head down into the fingers, the toes. And again, as we exhale, we just allow everything to soften, relax, and release. So thank you very much, guys, for joining me. I know lots of you enjoy these short sessions. I really enjoy filming them, so do lots more. So thank you very much.